Hey everyone, my name is Pyra, I'm from Mongolia. Today I will be reacting to Hazara people. Why? Because I'm a proud Mongolian and I would like to know more about our long lost brothers. So I did a reaction video to Kalmyk people in Russia, and also I'm thinking about also making reaction videos to Inner Mongolian people and also Buryat people and Tuva people. So what do I know about Hazara people? Well, nothing that much, because there aren't that many information about Hazara people in Mongolia. Just the general information. For example, we share same ancestral roots, and Hazara means Miangat or thousand in Persian language, and it is said that when Genghis Khan was conquering the world and building his empire, he left 1,000 soldiers at the place right now where Hazara people live, and they mixed with the local population, and they become the Hazara people now. And also I know that there are about 8 or 9 million Hazara people who predominantly lives in Afghanistan, Pakistan and Iran, and I know that they are Shia Muslim, a minority in Afghanistan. And apart from that, I don't know much about them. So I will watch a documentary program about Hazara family in Bamyan province, Afghanistan. So this program was produced about 7 or 8 years ago by the Mongolian television, and it's quite old. So I assume that their life is changed now, and but there aren't many programs and documentaries about Hazara people's, especially the day-to-day lives. So I'm gonna watch this program and share my opinions with you. So let's go.
The Hazara. Афганистаны нийслэл Кабулаас баруун хойшоо Бамян нэртэй мужи Монгол гарал угсааны Hazara нар энд сууршин амьдардаг юм. Тэдний нэг нь хөдөд одоод хэмээх энэ нэр. Хазарачуудыг дайрсан гаслан зовлон түүнийг ч тойроогүй билээ. Орлогогүй, ажилгүй хөдөд одоодын хувьд эхнэр хүүхдүүдтэйгээ нээсэн 6 амыг хоолтой байлгах нь энэ тэргүүн санаа зовоох зүйл. Хүнийхээр амаргүй даалгавар. Гэвч дайн самууны хөл холдож харьцангуй амар цаг ирсэн болохоор учир нь олдох визэ гэж тэр тайван байна. Инх тайван ямар үнэтэйг энэ хүмүүс хинээс ч илүү мэднэ.
So the first thing that surprised me was that the clothes they are wearing, and at the start of this video there's snow in the mountains background, and it seems like it's late autumn or winter, but they are wearing this very slim clothes. I don't know the name of this traditional clothes, but it doesn't look that warm and thick. And also this guy Hedadodot is wearing sandals and without socks. So in Mongolia it also gets really cold, and in some places it gets minus 30, 35, but people wear warm clothes with like animal sheepskin and a lot of hats and scarves. And I know that Afghanistan is very mountainous, and so this Bamyan province is also looks mountainous and cold, but they are wearing this very slim clothes, and that's surprised me. And also the buildings looks very unfamiliar. Of course, I never been to Afghanistan, and I never been to this area, so it's a very new image for me. So in here he's doing his daily prayers, and Mongolia is a Buddhist country. Almost 50-60% of the population is a Buddhist, and also my family is also Buddhist, and so we don't know much about the religion Muslim. There's also a lot of propaganda and brainwashing from the Western media that shows the Muslim people in a bad light. So in the general population's idea of Muslims are very negative, like terrorism, and etc. Also in Mongolia there are small minority Muslim people in the westernmost region called Paingulgi. I know that the Muslim people pray a few times a day. I don't know the number, a lot of times, and to the direction of Mecca, and there are two main branches, Sunni and Shia, and I think our Paingulgi people, the Kazakh minority, is Sunni Muslim, and but they live in traditional Mongolian gear, and they also herd sheep and goats and lived like a traditional nomadic life, and they use eagles to hunt. In some ways their culture is very similar, except the fact that we have different religion. But for here the Hazara people, the house they're living is very for me very strange. It built straight into the mountain. I don't know what they're made of, maybe clay. They're also praying at their home, and also they're fetching water from the local well with a donkey. And in the countryside of Mongolia and in the outskirts of the big cities, people also fetch water from the water kiosks, wells, but they use their hands. They use cars to fetch water, but here they use donkey. And we don't have donkeys here in Mongolia. We use horses and oxes, and yeah, so it was interesting for me.
پنج بجه خب میخزیم برای نماز میخوانیم، بعد از دیگه سری کار میریم. بعضی روزا میشه که یکان ساعت فونی یا 2 ساعت کار میکنیم، بعضی روز پیدام نمیشه دیگه. مشکل دیگه زیافه دیگه، از کدامش بگویم بسیار زیاد مشکل است.
Найман жилийн өмнөхөөс өөрөөр хэлбэл Талибаны дэглэмийн үетэй харьцуулахад амьдрал хэрхэн өөрчлөгдсөн бэ?
وضعیت زندگیم خوب است دیگه. مقصد همی آرامش و همیشم بسیار شکری میکشیم که همیشم برای ما افتخار است.
So he's talking about his work and life situation right now, and he's saying that 8 years ago the times were really hard because of the Taliban rule, but now it's peaceful and life is still hard. He can't find a job, permanent job, and so he works as a mover, and so that's how he supports his family. I know that there's a persecution and discrimination of Hazara people in Afghanistan and Pakistan and where they live, and so I think maybe it's connected to that reason. They can't find a job. Maybe that's because the reason. As for the Taliban rule, I know that in the late 90s Taliban was killing a lot of Hazara people. They were persecuting them, and it was really hard time. And then there was a war. US was involved, and so I'm really happy that now there's no war and there's no killing, but still I can see that this war and all this oppression and this violence left a huge mark on their heart, and it just feels very sad to see our brothers living in this kind of very hard situation.
Чи когда пул бадис мерит
Зуны улиралд хэр их мөнгө олдог?
معمولا زوال تأخير
زوال تأخیر ایتو ما تو نمیتونیم که یگان مقدار پولی ذخیره داشته باشیم یا پسنداز داشته باشیم. این گپا از ما نیست. فقط امی روی داستان هم از روی لیسس فقط نمورم روز کار میکنیم بگه یورا نان چای تیل نمک این گپا میشه. او غایت بله او غایت بهتر بود. روزگار ما خوب بود. او وقت پیش از قبلا از طالبا او وقت
دورش
پیلودا وقت طالبا خب بیخی دیگه پراکنده شده. اون زمانی که طالبا وارد بامیان شد دیگه مردم فرار کرد در طرفای این کوهای بابا دیگه اشتگاه مردم بازی به پای بود اشتگ داشت خودتر نمیتونست در بندا بیخی یخ زد. این تو برف بسیار سرای کوه که ماند بیخی یخ زد تلفات دادد مردم بسیار زیاد. اونم تو کوه که یک طرفی رفتیم نونگاه کوهان بود دورم که اونجا آمده نتونست اگر نیم اونجا آرامی نمیمانم.
So during the Taliban rule, a lot of people from this region fled to the remote places where Taliban can't reach, and they fled through these mountains that they showed. It's a very high mountains, and a lot of people fled this region, and a lot of people were killed. He's saying that, and also what surprised me is that in winter he can't leave his region, and it's hard for him to find a job. And so in summer he works so hard to collect money so he can support his family in winter. And $200 he said is enough to support his family during the winter months. I'm quite surprised because I know that Afghanistan's economy is not that good and there's a lot of wars, but $200 for entire month is so low for one big family. For example, in Mongolia, average salary, the baseline for the salary is $350. We are considered the third world, and our economy is not that good. The GDP is not that good, but still just average salary worker earns $350 per month. That's like a lowest baseline. But in Afghanistan and for Hazara people it's $200 for entire month. And of course I know this is just this case for this family, this particular family, and other people living in the region things are different, but yeah, 200 USD is very low for one big family. So at the start of this video the narrator said that he supports his family of 6, so I can't imagine how hard it is for them to live with this amount of money for a whole month.
Талибаны тэглэмийн үед буюу 1998-аас 1999 онд Бамьянд Афганистаны шин түүхэн эмгэнэлт рекордод орох аллага болсон билээ. Энд Hazara нарыг аймаглан устгахаар эмэгтэйчүүдийг хүчирхэж, хүүхдүүдийг зодож, алж, ор хорон идэх хүнсийн шатаас юм. Hazarачууд нь лалын ариун шашинтнууд биш учраас алж устгаж болно. Hazara хүнийг алах нь ямар ч нүгэл биш хэмээн талибууд Hazarачуудыг устгахыг уриалж байна. Яг бол хотод 1995 оны хаврын ганцхан шүд 1000 гаруй энгийн номхон иргэнийг засгийн газрын цэргүүд үүс тэмдэрсэн. 1998 онд Мазари шерифт 8000, 1999 онд Бамьянд 1000 гаруй гээд талибуудын бөөнөр нь хороосон Hazarачуудын тоо 100 гар бус 1000-аар ярив.
So obviously you heard what the narrator said. This is about the persecution and killing of Hazara people by the Talibans. So there are some gruesome facts. For example, in 1995 they massacred the entire village. They killed 1,000 people in just one night, and in 1996 also 2,000 people killed in overnight, and the villages were burned, destroyed, and women were raped, they were tortured. There are a lot of atrocities done by Talibans. I don't know much about Taliban, but it makes me really angry, not just because I'm a Mongolian, just because because of the general human being, conscious, because nobody is deserved to go through such a horrible time just because they are different, just because they belong to different ethnic group and different religious sector. It doesn't mean they have to go through this horrible times, and it makes me really sad and also angry at the same time to hear such atrocities. It is horrible, and I hope that people who made these atrocities, committed these crimes, receive their penalties.
خیابان چنگیز خان، گروه خوانندگان راک چنگیز خان، مجسمه بزرگ چنگیز خان در قلب اولانباتور. چنگیز خان، چنگیز خان، چنگیز خان. چنگیز خان و مغول هایی را که قبلا در کتاب ها به عنوان چهره های خشن می شناختم، با چنگیز خان و مغول هایی که حالا از نزدیک و در سرزمینشان با آنها هر لحظه در ارتباطم، زمین تا آسمان تفاوت وجود دارد و در میابم که چقدر در کتاب ها ناجوان مردانه قضاوت شده است. حالا دیگر به هوای سرد منفی 40 درجه مغولستان عادت کردم.
So this program also featured the Hazara student studies in Ulaanbaatar, the capital of Mongolia. So I heard that he was studying in Ulaanbaatar on a scholarship of non-profit organization. So from his perspective, he is very happy in a place where he can express his feelings, and also openly proud with their ancestors and culture and tradition. And yeah, it's very emotional, and he's particularly impressed by that there are a lot of Genghis Khan related things. For example, Genghis Khan band, Genghis Khan statue, Genghis Khan airport, Genghis Khan restaurants, and but for me, using Genghis Khan's name for this business purposes is really a little bit inappropriate, because for me, for most of the Mongolians, he is like our grandfather. We feel respect for him, we feel very admire him, and we just worship him, and he's like a god and tingri, for us. But some people, especially business people, use his name for business purposes to make a profit out of it. So they use like a Genghis Khan vodka is there, Genghis Khan like a restaurant. There was even like a Genghis Khan tobacco and Genghis Khan like food. And honestly, it made me sick, because you can't just use this great our forefathers' name for just this demeaning things. So personally, I feel very annoyed by this business purposes. And also it was a marketplace that they showed, and it looked similar to the like a rural Mongolian marketplace, because for example in the capital city, of course, there are a lot of big malls, there's like high 5-star hotels and everything, but in the countryside there are still like open markets like that's shown on this video. So it reminded me of that places.
دمیجی من قسمتی اوقات بامیان نگرفته بود، دمیقداد قسمت خط بود، دمی رسوالی پران میگه دمزه دره بود دیگه. اون زمان دیگه بامیان هم نگرفته دا نظامی بود، دمزه جنگی طالبا دیگه عملیات کرد دیگه با سر مزه دیگه شیکیات
Ахыгаа ам ирсэн тухай яаж олж мэдсэн бэ?
از بین رفته
او وقت موتر میامد اطلاع داشتیم مخابرات بود دیگه از اینجا در فوری دیگه مخابرات کرد که یک نفر شهید شده یک قسمت نفر چند نفر یک قدر روز مرم موتر میامد زخمی ها را میآورده میشه خونه دیگه اوهایی که شهید میشه دوباره میآورده خانه هاشون میرسم خانمی به
اول سوال
سوال اولی پدری ما را که ورد دمی همسنگرایشان همی اندوالایی که قسمتی دمز سنگری دمو شرایطی که بود خب مقدادی همو دوتایشان همو را آورد و دموتر اینجا به خانه رسان دیگه او طفلای برادرم که مال خود سیاسر از او ما او را نه دیگه او مشایالای از او با گردن ما من ما مجبور شد که ما اگر یک سالش هم از ما کده بزرگتر است و نتانستیم که کشدانی ما قبول نکرد که کدام جای دیگه بره
همین خانم برادر
همین خانم باز ما مجبور شد که باز بره از برادری ما 3 تاست ارسش یه دختر است
بله چند ساله هست
یکیش اولاد 15 ساله یکیش 13 ساله یکیشون 10-11 ساله شده دیگه
Хүүхдүүдийнхээ ирээдүг та ямар байдлаар төсөөлж байна?
آینده میخواهید
یک آینده میخواهیم که باید یک چی باشه یک مطب بخونه و یک مثل از ما اوری دیگه در شرایط های فعلی یا در جنگ زدن و کندن بین خود گروه بازی بود یک قسمت ها بود مطبی گپا نبود نه دمی چند سالی که کرزه سری پرچار شده فقط دیگه در نمیزی کار نمیزی دیگه کمری مطباری کار آمده دیگه از پیش اینجا مثل یک سره دوری بود این امکانات دسترسی نداشت اینجا
Мөнгө их болдог бол дахин ихнэр ах уу?
وارد اون ازدواج کنید به نظر نداره مشخص نشده
نه مشخص نیست
آیا
Монголчуудын тухай хэр их мэдэх вэ?
مغولستان هم هستید؟
با تو معلومات بود که مغولستان یک کشور است
Бидний 5 хүнийг хараад
So he's talking about his late brother who was killed during the fight against the Taliban, and so he heard about this via radio, and after that he married his late brother's wife. I guess it's a tradition, and so now he takes care of his brother's children, and now they are a family of 6. And he's saying that he can have another wife if he wants, but he doesn't want because his financial situation is not that good. So this polygamy or having multiple spouse is very foreign idea for us. So in Mongolia, polygamy is unlawful. You only can marry one person, and also morally and culturally people don't accept these kind of things because there's this idea of you have to spend your life with just one person, you have to commit. Is very strongly rooted to our mind and conscience, and also our culture. Also, when he was asked if he knows anything about Mongolia, he said no, but he heard about the country called Mongolistan, and I think he's talking about the Mongolistan Empire, which succeeded the Chagata Empire or Chagata Empire in the 12th century. So after Genghis Khan died, his great Mongol Empire was divided into 4 parts for his 4 sons. So the westernmost part was called Chagata Empire, and then there was Ilkhanate and Golden Horde, and then was Yuan Dynasty. So the region, the countries now, the Afghanistan, Iran, and Pakistan, this area was at the time it was under the Chagata Empire. It's logical and understandable that he has heard about Mongolistan Empire because that empire is succeeded Chagata Empire and then become Persian Empire, and it was mixed. So it's a very interesting historical aspect. So Mongolian Empire was existed during 12th and 13th century, and then they didn't that last long, and then they, I think, destroyed, and then other empires formed.
اول صبح مرقت خمیر کنه ببره دانان بای چای کنه بیا از اوشتکو بیتا وقت یک پلکاسا بشه یک خانه جارو کنه وقت دیگه چای چاشت میشه از چای بخورن دیگه بگاه میشه دیگه چیز پیدا نمیشه اگر شلیه یا اگر کچالوی دیگه ولی من این بگاه یک پا روغن از خانه تو آقیل قرص کده ورده می کاکا گفت دیگ روغن نبود که من دیگ میکرد مگر نمان کالا ششته بودم اینم اینجا نمازه میخواندم قرار خواه میگریم دیگه آنو زندگی نه دیگه آنو یک پا روغن قرص کدیم آنو این اگر کچالو گرین بکنم دیگه آلیم بگاه که کاکا گفت که اگر دیگ کاسا کدیم با چی کنیم
در فکر زیستین که اولاد بشه
Ингээд та дахиад хүүхдтэй болох уу?
یا دختر خودش از فکر خود بگیرن
خودم از فکر خود دیگه نه دیگه زندگی اونقدر بسیار سخت و مشکل همی رو که امور بیتا بس
Энэ охины нэр хэм бэ? Хэдэн настай?
نام چیه؟
Все камжурай асан.
Сургууль явдаг уу? Аав ээжийнхээ аль нь жугаартай?
زره اتیخو ها؟ آبیخت زره اتیخو
And decided at the same room they have kitchen, bedroom, everything.
Хаан төрсөн бэ?
مودمی دیگه دنمی افغانستان دیگه نمیتون مثلا یک قریه رو فاطمستی موگا و سماره موگا و قریه انت دنمی افغانستان دمی گید مرکز بوده دیگه نمی دنمی بامیان تولد چیده دیگه
دیگه اینه
Одоо ямар хол үү?
качалу кум ягад шула бириндан ошиков кум палау таркори هر چیزی که باشه از روی یاب که نباشن یک ذره شله یک ذره کچالو یا یک ذره نون خالی نون چای گاب از زندگی
She's telling if I will afford, so she can cook everything. Palau, meat sauce, chicken, vegetables, all the foods she can cook.
Та нөхөр хүүхдээ хизээ баярлуулсан бэ?
در خاطر مردم ما یک چیز کار مار کرد یک پیسه ردیسش بود یک چیزی میاد جاده میرن خوشی اگر نبودن جگر خونه دیگه که پیسه نباشه بازار بره لبه دیگه اون جگر خونه دیگه کارم نباشه دن میخته خونه خواه بخی مریض جگر خونه اون مریضی هم داره زخم میده هم داره این مالی از تمام چیز پیدا میشه و نه اونم پریزه اون اگر چای مخوره اگر نان مخوره اگر شله اگر جانش بشینه دایی مریض ما زخم میده داره دیگه اونو طالبا که برادرش کشته یه خیلی لط کده اونو چی شده این تو کمری اصاب هم از دیست داده بسیار کم دیگه اونو یا ایرو خوبه یا ایرو دخویه یا ایرو بیخویه چی که در سر لط خورده این تو فکر به جای شده
یعنی چی میخوایی اینا
So here we see the glimpse of Hazara wife's life, and so she said that she was married when she was 16 with Hedot's brother, and then after he was killed, he married to Hedot, and and I understand that they live in a rural region of Afghanistan. In most countries in the rural areas, rural parts, it's a tradition and it's a culture to marry at a young age. Even in Mongolia, in the countryside, in the remote regions, marrying at 16, 17 or 18 is a common thing. But right now in Mongolia, the age that people get married is getting higher. For example, it was acceptable to get married in 20s, early 20s, but now people prefer to get married after they got a job, after they graduated university. So 25, 26, 28, even 29 is okay for getting married. And of course there's a peer pressure, there's a family pressure. So in Mongolia is a very conservative country in terms of people's mindsets. So just like any other Asian country, parents pressure their children to get married, especially in their early 20s, and after they get graduate or university, it's very common that people get married. So 22, 23, 24 is the most common age for getting married. And so she's married at 16, and now she has 4 kids. And the food looks very interesting because I guess she was frying the potato in oil. And in Mongolia we cut the potato into pieces and then we fry on a frying pan, but in here they're using this different pot, and also they're, I think, cooking rice. So I guess the main dish or cuisine is rice and vegetables. And I also heard that the bread, I don't know the name, but there's a type of bread is very common in Afghanistan, especially in Hazara people. And the stove they're using is just same as we use in here, especially in the Gir districts. So I guess I can see the similarities in some parts. And of course the clothes and other things are not really unfamiliar for me. Okay, so that's about it. And this program was 35 minutes long, and I cut out the uninteresting or boring parts, so I only showing you the most interesting and informative parts. And yeah, it was really interesting to see the day-to-day life of a Hazara family. And I know it was filmed a really long time ago, so I'm really curious about the also Hazara people living in the city, especially in the capital or in urban areas, and it would give me other perspective. So the most interesting part about their life was that their mindset, and the Hazara student living in Mongolia, he said that living in a place where openly proud about their culture, tradition, ancestors is what makes him happy. So obviously I've lived here all my life, and I don't know what it's like to live in a country where you are discriminated and oppressed for their ancestral roots and their culture, religion. So it gives me really a deep, in-depth perspective of Hazara people's mindset and life. So I'm going to be honest here. So in Mongolia, generally people feel positive about the Hazara people, and they know that we share same ancestral roots, and we know that we are brothers, and just the same as we feel close to the Kalmyk people and the Buryat people and Tsuwa and Inner Mongolian people, which we feel all the same, for the same closeness to them. But also there's a small amount of people, there are a minority, but there's the people that Hazara people are Muslims, and they have a different culture than us, so we don't really have to associate with them. And also it is their opinion is influenced by this Western media, this brainwashing that Muslims are like terrorists, they are bad people. So some people say that we don't have to welcome them because they are Muslims, they live in a different country, they live thousands of kilometers far from here, why should we care? But they are mostly uneducated and ignorant people. But for me, Hazara people are our brothers, our long lost brothers, and I feel very close to them, and I would very much love to visit Hazara people one day and just meet them and interview them. My profession is journalism, so I would like to meet them and document their life, just show the real unfiltered the life of Hazara people, not just the mainstream media, because mainstream media is just shown through the lenses they have agendas. But what I want to do is show the real people and real life, real opinions. And I also want to, of course, visit the Kalmyk people and Buryat and Tuva and everything. It's what I want to do in the future. So that's my reaction to the life of Hazara people, and thank you for watching. And in the future I will make a reaction and other vlogs about Mongol people living around the world and the Mongol diaspora. And because I have a passion for all the Mongol people around the world, I think I will continue to make this and just bridge the gap between people. So in today's world, there's a lot of agenda, there's like brainwashing and propaganda, especially the mainstream media. So I think the platforms like YouTube is giving us a chance to see the real life and real people and real opinions. So thank you again. Please subscribe to my channel, and also I have a Facebook page, Real Mongolia, and see you soon. Thank you.